Have any of you been looking at, and I just wanted to bring this up if I could, and I'm still hearing Mr. Big Voice in the background here, and I don't know why, but have any of you um, I guess the question I'm going to be asking is, I know there's been a lot of discussion. I didn't get a chance to monitor what was going on the air here over the last couple of days, but I did get to hear some talk from out of Idaho Falls, and I do know that the big discussion happened to center on Donald Trump's mouth and some of the things he said in the past and the like. And I was just sharing with some people in the last few days the hypocrisy in media. I have a lot of friends who now work at the network level, either behind the scenes or on air. They're reporters or they're anchors and the like. And I know what some of these people are like. One of them was a friend of mine. I worked with him, but I sometimes had I thought perhaps his approach to life. He was in his early 20s when he was going out with a woman 17 years his older than he was, and she had 4 kids, and he ended up breaking up her marriage. Now, as soon as he went off to a bigger job in Boston, he dumped her and left her behind. Just the detritus of wherever he worked, and yet he's on television now, telling you all about how bad Donald Trump is for telling dirty jokes. And I know this got a lot of reaction from people over the last few days, but I'm telling you, it's not just Twin Falls. As I was driving through Idaho Falls and listening to talk radio, I heard very much the echo of what people here were talking about. And even though we would like the president to be a little bit better, most people out there realize that there's a great deal of hypocrisy going on here right now from all of those who are somehow holier than thou. In the meantime, look, Donald Trump's tax returns, or portions of them, were published illegally, right? That's what we were told. These were published illegally. Happened to be reading about that, and yet liberals thought it was great. In the meantime, if somebody releases emails related to the Democrats or Hillary Clinton, then that's bad, even though they may have been illegally obtained. So there's already a double standard going on there. And I bring this up because I'm just so fed up with the media's behavior any longer. And I don't know how they are this notion that they have to run the country and that they know better than everybody else is very, very dangerous. And meanwhile, all of the latest revelations coming out about the Clinton campaign and these emails, and media is trying to say, well, there's nothing to see here. Well, wait a minute. Or John Podesta, who works for her campaign, Mr. Podesta is trying to tell people, I want you to take a look, listen to this. He's speaking on an airplane that, well, clearly, let's blame the messenger. Pay no attention to the Hillary Clinton behind the curtain. What he's trying to say is he's trying to deflect here. Listen for a moment.
Whether that was Mr. Assange's decision to try to help Mr. Trump or whether there was some coordination involved, I have no way of knowing. I'm just saying it's an awfully curious coincidence that it happened virtually as soon as the water temperature was moving to a boil.
In other words, he's saying, well, it's a WikiLeaks. They're just trying to help Donald Trump out. And all of you fellow travelers in media, you cut a deal with the devil. Now I want you to go out there and do as we say. Pay no attention to Hillary Clinton and, the fact that people like me look down our noses at Catholics and evangelicals. And how about this one? This comes from the Daily Caller. The latest batch of emails from the account of Clinton campaign chairman John Podesta show a New York Times reporter and CNBC anchor John Harwood giving the Clinton campaign tips about other candidates and bragging about feeling vindicated by provoking Donald Trump as a debate moderator. Earlier, WikiLeaks releases show Harwood lavishing praise on Clinton in emails to Clinton campaign staffers. Or how about this? This comes from LifeSet. The New York Times gave Hillary veto power. In other words, if she didn't like a quote in a particular story, she would tell the reporter who was assigned to her campaign, I don't want that reported. And he would say, yes, master, anything you say. 9/11 on the program this morning. Bill Colley with you on Top Story on News Radio 1310, KLIX, and newsradio1310.com. And, of course, you could reach our program today by dialing 736-0300. That's 736-0300. 0300. And we have a caller with us. Caller, you're joining us. You're live on air. Go ahead.
Good morning, Bill. Is this me you're talking to?
Sure is. You wouldn't be hearing anybody else.
Great. I haven't called your program before, so hey, we're all talking about the hypocrisy of our politicians, and we're making comparisons between Trump and Hillary and everything. In that same vein, I'd like to make a comparison between Crapo and Trump. I mean, Trump made some mistakes here, but didn't our esteemed senator get a DUI? And I too many times through the course of my life, I've seen people killed by drunk drivers.
Yeah.
And to wash that away, and the other side of it is, how did that ever play out? Did he get the same legal treatment that Hillary Clinton gets? So while we're making these comparisons, a bunch of us out here talking can't escape that. And I can't vote for Democrat, but I can't vote for those two. And I believe when it comes time for me to vote for Trump, I will be writing in a candidate, either my name, maybe Bill Colley, maybe Mickey Mouse. But the Democrats not getting the vote, and the rhino hypocrite that wanted forgiveness and understanding when he made his mistake cannot back the other one. And as far as that coward Simpson, who wants the NRA support and gets it and wants our vote to protect the Second Amendment, we've got a candidate right here in direct opposition to another one. One's going to wipe out the Second Amendment, and one is going to preserve the Second Amendment. And he's not going to support the one that's going to preserve the Second Amendment. I can't abide it. And I would just suggest everybody, what's the big saying? Vote your conscience. And if you can't vote for those two, write somebody in.
Hey, good point. I thank you much for the call. And Mike Crapo was forgiven because he asked for forgiveness afterwards. He asked his constituents for forgiveness. Donald Trump came out and apologized last Friday, and Crapo doesn't think that's good enough. If you read our website and you read my blog at our website, I pointed out over the weekend, no one has ever been killed by hearing a dirty joke. A lot of people have been killed by drunk drivers. There is no comparison whatsoever here. And you know what? Mr. Crapo and Mr. Simpson were wetting a finger, sticking it up in the air and seeing which way the wind was blowing. And like Paul Ryan, they basically got caught. I'm not going to mix metaphors here. Well, I will. They got caught with their pants down on this one because they misjudged the public reaction. On the other hand, they don't have any worries when it comes to re-election. So they can say whatever they please. You're next. You're on the air on KLIX at 9:14. Hello?
Hello, I'm here.
All right, go ahead.
Oh, I just wanted to say thank you for telling us what you heard up in Idaho Falls, because my question was, I've been wondering, how is the rest of the country taking this? And are there local talk shows all over this nation where people are calling in and saying the same things that our local people are?
I got to tell you, I was listening to Neil Larson's show out of Idaho Falls and Pocatello, and it was overwhelmingly opposed to Crapo and Simpson. I mean, it just was. I don't think I heard anyone call up and defend them in this situation.
Well, that's good, and I just to encourage other people, I did email both of them and tell them how disappointed I was. And in fact, I had written out a check to send to Mike Crapo. Well, I ripped it up.
This is going to hurt, I guess, and maybe they'll get reelected. But you know what? Down the road, I think that somebody's going to step forward the next time around and decide to primary these people again.
I sure hope so.
Well, I thank you much for the telephone call. You're next, and you're up on the air on News Radio 1310 KLIX and newsradio1310.com. Hello?
Hello. Yeah. Well, this is where we need term limits. The problem we have is our people go back to Washington, D.C., and they get that culture. And first of all, they're way more liberal than what we thought they were when we sent them. And then they get in there and they stay there forever. Of course, if you're a Republican in Idaho, and I'm a Republican, I'm conservative, but if you're a Republican in Idaho, you have a like that lady said, of course she tore up her check, but you have a blank check out of Idaho. And what I'm sad about is our representatives and our senators they don't stand up for conservative principles. And like you have Mike Lee and Ted Cruz, those guys, they go after those liberals. And we just don't have that out of Idaho.
I agree with that. I thank you much for the telephone call. I think that that there's some political courage that people like Ted Cruz and Mike Lee display, and even though Lee's not behind the Trump campaign, he's still courageous. I give him that, and he's made his reasons known, and you can't condemn him for that. He's made good arguments as to why he's not. But I have to tell you, I think that there are politicians out there. At least the governor waited a few days before he made a condemnation. He got a little reaction from the public. Give him credit for that. You're up next. You're on the air with Bill Colley on KLIX.
Bill, welcome back. I called in yesterday. This is the first chance I've had to listen to the radio this morning. Don't know if it's been mentioned, but I called just to remind everyone that Senator Crapo was convicted of DUI in 2013, and the next step after DUI is potentially vehicular manslaughter. And that's a long ways from the damage that a few vulgar words can cause.
Right.
And I also tore up his request for financial support. I'm so angry with him because we've had a Republican Congress, a Republican-controlled Congress in Washington for about the last 6 years, and they have done nothing because the excuse has been we need a Republican president to move our agenda forward. Now we have an opportunity, and he's sitting on his hands knowing full well he's going to get reelected, but I am voting against him in the next primary, and sadly it's 6 long years away, but I am really irritated with that man and his self-righteous attitude about he's okay to do wrong, but somebody else that does something off-colored is in big trouble. Thanks very much for the time, and again, welcome back.
Hey, thank you. He's not going to have any problem with reelection. And the thing is that the man who's running against him is a fairly prominent fellow and probably more articulate than many of the other past Democrats who've done this. But he's going to condemn Trump too. So, and then, we never talk that way. You ever hear a bunch of guys on a golf course talking? Give me a break. As I said in the first hour of the program, when this subject came up, men who haven't talked like that, and guys talk smack with each other all the time. Men who don't, who claim they don't, are liars. Number two, if they don't and they never have, and they're truly telling you the truth about that, being redundant there, truly. I worry about those people. I think the other guys are going to be climbing up a clock tower with a rifle and scope. Bill Colley with you on Top Story on News Radio 1310, KLIX and newsradio1310.com. We got a history of this in Idaho. At least Trump likes women. It's not like going into a men's room and trying to hook up with somebody in a Minneapolis airport. Going to be talking about the Rock Creek Fire District in just a few minutes, right here on News Radio 1310, KLIX.